Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah, and in today's video we are going to be crocheting this little mini possum. Now, you may have seen the bigger possum on my channel if you've been here before. If you haven't, here it is, you can check it out. Now, if you have a hard time following that tutorial, that's okay, because I did make that tutorial a long time ago. I made it when I just started out YouTubing. I think it was like 3 or 4 months into my YouTube career, so I hadn't had very much experience. I was thinking about making another tutorial, so we'll see how this one goes. If you guys like that, you can let me know in the comments. I did adjust the pattern recently, my bigger possum, because certain features look better in bigger yarn. So if that's something you guys are interested in, make sure to let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, we're just going to get into the material list. But before we do so, I want to do a disclaimer. I crochet pretty fast, and I actually slow down a lot for these videos. So if you need to pause the video, if you need to replay it, if you need to slow me down, please do so. It is great for you to do that. It is not a bad thing at all, and I highly recommend you do that. And on top of that, if you want to crochet this possum at your own speed, I also have the written pattern in my shops. You can check it out. If you're interested in that, go check it out. Otherwise, we're going to get crocheting our little baby possums. So the first thing you're going to need is some yarn. Now, I like to make patterns where you can use any yarn type you'd like, as long as you're using the right crochet hook. But for today, since I'm making mini possums, I'm using a Bernat Baby Velvet, and I'm using their dark gray, their light pink, their black, and some white. Here we are. So lots of colors for these, but I think that's the only downside for this pattern is how many colors they need. But they work up really fast, and they are super adorable. I mean, I have 10 of them on the table, so if that tells you how fast they work up. The next thing you'll need on the material list is your crochet hook. Don't mind my beat up 3.5mm hook. I had a new one. I don't know where it went. It's missing, so we're using this one. I'm using a 3.5 with my size 4 yarn. You can use any size hook you'd like, whatever works for you. You also need a pair of scissors, a sewing needle. You'll need a stitch marker and some stuffing. A little bit more than this probably, but I think that is about it. Oh, actually no, it's not. We need safety eyes. Now, I believe I'm using an 8mm safety eye. If I'm not, I'll put it up on the screen what I properly use. I don't have labels on my things, but I do know I can check them out and see. So it'll be up on the screen, and that is correct. So some safety eyes. I like to use slightly bigger ones because they are really cute. They're less likely to get pulled out if you use real small ones. Now we're going to get started on the pattern. We're going to start with our white yarn, and the first thing we're going to do is crochet the face. So taking your white yarn, you will create a slip knot onto your hook, or you can use the magic ring method if you'd like that as well. So I just take my yarn, wrap it around my finger, and then pull it through to create a slip knot. And I use the chain 2 method, but like I said, you can use the magic ring. And now we're going to put 4 single crochets into our magic ring or our chain 2 method. Just like so. Now you're going to close that up. And for round 2, we are going to increase and then single crochet, and we'll repeat that twice. Once you're done with round 2, you can insert your stitch marker into that first stitch. I'll be doing it on the next round since the stitch count is still quite small. Now what you can do is increase and then single crochet, and you're going to repeat that 3 times. Just like so. That's the end of round 3. Now I'm going to insert my stitch marker, and you can put it at the last stitch for every round continuing on. So for this next round, we are going to single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 9 single crochets. For the next round, we will increase and then single crochet 2, and we'll repeat that 3 times. Once you are finished with that round, we will now increase and then single crochet 3, and we'll repeat that 3 times. And now we are going to do our final white round, and we will increase and single crochet 4. In the next stitch, we are going to slip stitch, chain 1, and fasten off. We are done with our white color, and you just need a short tail when you fasten off. Now there are quite a few things that we need to do before we move on to the next round. The first thing we are going to do is crochet the ears on. Now we'll be working in the back loops only, or not the back loops, the front loops only. And we're going to work with the color change that we're going to do on the top. So the place where we fastened off is going to be on the top of the piece. This is just to ensure that the legs, that the legs are even on the bottom, and you can't really tell too much that the gap is there. So what we're going to do is we're going to count the slip stitch here and then 1 stitch back, and we are going to crochet in that front loop. So taking your black yarn with just a small tail, we're going to create a slip knot onto our hook, and then counting back, we have our slip stitch here, and then a single crochet, and then in that second single crochet, so you should have the slip stitch right here, and then another single crochet, and then a third single crochet, front loops only. We're going to put 4 single crochets there. Just like so. Then we're going to chain 1 and fasten off with a fairly short tail. Now at this point, it's not looking too much like an ear. We are going to count 1 stitch to the right or left. We're going to do this on both sides, and we're going to insert our hook from the back to the forward, and we're going to pull this tail through. And this will be through all the loops, the entire stitch. And you're going to do this on both sides. And if this is too fast, I'll be showing you again on the other ear. Pull these tails through, and then after we finish our first gray round, or next round on the body, we will be securing these tails nice and tight, and it will create a nice half circle on the ear. Now we're going to repeat this on the opposite side, and we're going to count the slip stitch, which is here, the next single crochet, and then the third single crochet from that slip stitch, and we're going to single crochet in that front loop. So again, create a slip knot onto your hook. Count with the slip stitch in the center, 1 and then 2. And you single crochet 4 into this front loop. Then chain 1 and fasten off. Now what we're going to do is the same thing we did with the other ear, pull it through the stitch next to it. So we have the stitch we worked into here. You're going to pull the tail in through the next stitch. And then the same with the other side. The back loop is here, and then we're going to pull it through the next stitch, just like that. And when we finish our gray round, we will secure those tails so they won't be able to be pulled out. Now, we have a couple other things we're going to do before we move on as well. The next thing we're going to do is stitch the nose on. Now that our ears are on, we can stitch the nose on and make sure that it's facing the right way and it's not crooked. So thread your needle and insert your needle from the inside to the outside, and you're just going to pinch it and find what looks like the center stitch. This doesn't need to be perfect, and then just start stitching. You can make the nose as big as you'd like. You can do as many loops over as you'd like. I just like to keep going until it's pretty full. I don't usually count. And then once you are satisfied, pull that tail through into the body of the yarn of the possum. Trim the tail that's still connected to the yarn. And now we're going to tie these tails together. We're also, while we're in here, going to secure our magic ring tail, so the white tail left behind. And we're just going to tie them together in some basic knots and then secure the magic ring in the same way with the 2 pink tails. Excuse me. Just like so, and you can turn this right side out again, and you'll have your little nose. And the final thing we're going to do is add our eyes in now. I like to do this now because once we start adding our bobbles, the tails can get a little bit crazy on the inside. If you are working with bigger safety eyes or maybe a bigger yarn, you might want to wait until after the first gray round, just because it can be hard to get into these stitches here. I like to put the safety eyes between the last round, so round 7, and the second to last round, round 6. And I like to put them just underneath the corner of the ears, like so. And I like to just make sure that they're pretty even before securing their backs. My sister just came in here gushing about how cute they are, so if you guys have a sister, you probably know how hard it is to get older sister approval. So if she likes it, then I love it. So you can set your pink yarn aside for now because we won't need it until we work on the tail. Now, if you secure your eyes now, that's good. And if you haven't, then just make sure to pause after our next round and secure the tails. We're going to join our gray yarn on now, and we're going to create a slip knot onto our hook. You just need a short tail, you're not going to be doing anything. And we're going to rejoin this yarn right on top of the slip stitch we made with our white yarn. And now we're going to single crochet in each stitch around. Just single crochet around the ears in that back loop and then through all those stitches. And once you have arrived at the last stitch, we're going to secure our ears. And I like to tie these really tight. They will sink the ears in, which is what you want them to do. This will prevent it from being able to pull out or loosen with time if you just tie them nice and tight together. Now for our next round, we are going to begin our first set of legs. Now depending on your yarn type or your tension or even placement of the face as well, it's all going to depend where you end up putting the. So for me, I'm going to be single crocheting 7 and then bobbling. So I single crochet 7 and then we're going to begin our first bobble. Now before you begin your bobble, the 2 feet will be spaced 2 stitches away. So you can look at your piece and decide what is more even for you. For me, it doesn't really matter where I put it. It'll still be slightly off, which is perfectly fine in my opinion. So when you make your decision, just place where your bobbles would be and look at where your eyes are, and you can decide where you'd like to put them. So now what we're going to do is we're going to hold our gray yarn in our hand and we're going to add our black yarn to create our first bobble. So just hold the little tail back there as well. I'm holding it with my middle finger, and what we're going to do is yarn over, insert it in the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through those 2 loops. And you're going to repeat this 6 times, so you're going to have 6 incomplete double crochets. Just like so. And now we're going to drop this yarn and we're going to complete the stitch with this gray yarn. Just like that. Now we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And we're going to trim our black yarn so that we can start our second leg. So holding all your tails, yarn over, and create 6 incomplete double crochets for your bobble. Now what we're going to do is finish it with our gray yarn, just like our last bobble. And then single crochet in the remaining stitches of this round. Now, once you finish the round, trim your working black yarn, set it aside for now, and we're going to secure our bobble tails. If you decided to change color a different way, you might want to wait until after the next round to secure these tails, but because of the way I color changed, securing the black tails now doesn't affect the tension on the top, so the stitches are just as easy to work through as they would be if I didn't. Now before we move on to our 4 single crochet rounds, I like to stuff the head. Now some of you might be tempted to take all these tails and try and shove them in here. If you do that, the head will be misshapen. I can't seem to get it to a point where that isn't the case. So what I like to do is just take a small amount of stuffing and make sure to go in between all those tails and stuff behind them. So stuff behind the eyes. You have to pull the eyes forward and adjust everything, and this just fills that gap that the yarn can't seem to fill very easily. And then I'm going to put a little bit more to really fill in the cavity behind the eyes. Just like so. And now we can tuck all these tails in for now, and if you find that after our single crochet rounds the head is still a bit lumpy, you can always take the tails out and stuff some more behind it. I like to just tuck these tails in now so that they're not in my way while I'm single crocheting. So for the next 4 rounds, we're just going to single crochet in each stitch around. If you need the stitch marker, put it in the last stitch of the round. Otherwise, just get crochet in. So I haven't had the opportunity to make these in plush yarn yet, so size 6 yarn, because I had to place an order. My local stores did not carry the colors I needed, which is disappointing, but fine. So I placed the order. I got $40 off my order, which is so cool. If you're not doing it, make sure to look for coupons when you can. Usually the website will have it, but you have to like specifically find it and apply it to your cart. And use reward vouchers if the place you're ordering from uses that. Definitely use them whenever you can. Now what I was gonna say was that when I finally get around to making one of these plushie size, I'll definitely be showing you it off. Hopefully by the end of this video, or by the time you see this video, I'll have had the ability to make one and insert it at the end, but we shall see. Definitely very excited to try this out in plushie yarn though, because these work up really fast, and I do think these would turn out pretty big in plush yarn. Definitely hand-sized, which would be perfect for market prep because they don't take too long, they're no-sew, and they are obviously super cute. So I just finished my 4 single crochet rounds. We can count 1, 2, and then our 4 single crochet rounds. Now we're going to finish our last set of legs. Now I like to single crochet 1 more than I did the previous round, so instead of 7 I'll be single crocheting 8, and I just like to do this so that the legs line up a little bit more, since you're crocheting in a spiral and the stitches tend to go this way. That's what I like to do. What we're going to do is the same thing we did with our last set of legs, and just add our yarn and create our bobbles. Same amount, 6 incomplete double crochets to complete our bubble, if that makes any sense. And of course finish it with our dark gray yarn, single crochet 2, and bobble our final time. Make sure to cut the tail, start a new tail. And then single crochet in the remaining stitches, just like we did for the previous bobble round. Okay, so we are actually on our final 2 rounds now. They're both decreased rounds, so if you're working with small yarn like this, you can start stuffing and stuff through all the next rounds. If you're working with bigger yarn, you can probably wait until after the next round to start stuffing. Make sure you secure your bobbles with a few knots on the inside so that they're nice and secure. Now I'm going to put some stuffing in here and then put the black tails on top so that nothing is like being stretched awkwardly when we do our final stuffing. And now would be the time to check your head and make sure everything is looking good. Otherwise you might want to pull everything out and stuff it a bit more. But I stuffed mine pretty hard, so we're good. For the next round, we are just going to decrease and then single crochet, and we're going to repeat that 6 times, and you'll have 12 stitches when you're done. Once you finished your first decrease round, you can stuff some more if you haven't already. That's what I meant to say, at least. And now we're going to crochet our final round, which is just 6 decreases. Then slip stitch, chain 1, and fasten off. And you'll just need like a medium length tail so we can sew up the bottom. But we're not going to do it just yet, so don't do that yet. What we're actually going to do is add our tail on. And I like to do this now so we can just tuck the tails into the bottom and not have to tuck anything in. So what we're going to do is create a slip knot onto our hook with our pink yarn. And with the possum facing you, you're going to slip stitch into the first decrease round. So second to last round, we're going to slip stitch. You want it to be centered with the ears. When we go up and then come back down, we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. So centered with the 2 stitches, and you're going to chain 8. Now when you chain 8, you're going to slip stitch back down the chain, and you can do this however you'd like. I like to do this in the back humps of the chain. Oh, and you also have to skip the first chain. I forgot to mention that. Once you finish all the chains, you can just slip stitch back into the body, chain 1, and fasten off with a short tail. Just like so. And there we have our little tail. And what we're going to do is insert our hook through the open hole we still have and pull the yarn tails of the tail through. And you just gotta pull them all the way through into the body. And same with the other tail on the other side. Pull it through. And now you're gonna tie these 2 yarn tails tightly. And it's gonna pull the tail in, but once we stuff the yarn ends in, the tail will sit properly. If you're working with small yarn, you can use the point of your scissors, or you can push it in with your finger or a stuffing stick if you have one, or a chopstick. Butt of a pencil, literally anything that can fit in the hole if your fingers don't fit. So, and there you are. And now would be the time to stuff more if you need it as well. Mine's pretty well stuffed, so we're good to go. Now the last thing we need to do is sew up the bottom, and then we are done. And that only took us about 25 minutes. And once you get the hang of this pattern, it works up much faster. If you are a beginner who tried this, I want to say congratulations to you. No matter how many times you paused the video, replayed it, slowed it down, you did an amazing job, and that's what matters. And I know that I work pretty fast, but this video isn't geared towards beginners, it's geared toward intermediate crocheters. So if you did well as a beginner in this tutorial, give yourself a round of applause, pat on the back, because you followed an intermediate video tutorial. Once you finish weaving in your ends, you can just trim the tail, and then you have your very own mini possum. Just like that. Look at how cute. Now I currently have a horde of them because I'm planning to go on a market soon. So that's why I have so many. But this is just to prove how quickly they work up. I made all of these yesterday in one afternoon, and they are all finished. They're very, very cute. If you made these, make sure to tag me over on Instagram. I would love to see them. I would love to see your finished pieces and celebrate your success. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with other crocheters if you have any crochet friends. And I really appreciate you sticking around to the end, so thank you. I hope you enjoy making an army of possums, or just one if that's your plan, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!